All right, let's shift focus now to primary and secondary education. And Linda Kuhle-Xulu, our reporter, monitoring what is happening with schools who were told they have to stay closed until the 15th of February. But here in Gauteng, the Education MEC has been meeting with the Helpmekaar School, who apparently opened their doors today.
Well, that's right, Sally. The MEC rather said that he was receiving a lot of reports about schools that had intended on opening, despite the fact that there's been a postponement by the National Department of Education. And what he said was that he simply had to go and check it out for himself, get a sense of what exactly is happening. And this morning he was at that particular school, and he did say meet rather with the principal of the school to get a sense of what is happening. And as far as we understand it now, is that the school was already opened even before the announcement by the Department of Education, and they're saying that these were just processes unfolding to say that pupils must report to school. But after the announcement, they then consulted with some of the consultants, particularly those in the health department, and they decided that in fact they would follow suit in terms of closing up their school as well, and making sure that pupils are only going to conduct teaching and learning through online means. And they did say that there are those that they've identified that will be struggling with some of these things, and they're saying that they've taken measures to provide them with the necessary equipment and necessary facilities as far as online learning is concerned. But the MEC did say that there has been several other schools that they had to communicate with to close down today until, of course, the 14th of February, where it will be said whether the schools will continue operating. But let's take a listen to some of what came out from that particular briefing by the MEC of Education in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, just after he had met with the principal of that school.
We came here, and when I arrived here, as I said, I was only welcomed by the principal, and the principal took me through that decision, that as a leader, you revisit your own decision, because the school was already open by last week. Correct. So the reopening was not a defiance. They already opened. The decision came late. And when the information was brought to their attention by the advisor, Mr. Matthews, and our team in the province, yesterday they then reconsidered. And they felt that they should migrate to online learning. And it's only, I think you said 7 learners that are in the boarding facility. That those are the 7 learners that will remain, purely because they need to use the gadgets and the facilities, and they don't have them at home.
Linda, just staying with you for a moment, as explained by the MEC, this is a school that had already opened. It wasn't necessarily being defiant, but there has been criticism, particularly from the independent schools, that when it comes to independent schools, the message is a little bit fuzzy. Even last week with the Deputy Basic Education Minister, the wording was government schools will close, independent schools at a later date. And only when ENCA sought clarity with her did she say very clearly, absolutely, 15th of February for all schools, private and public. Do you think this could be what's creating a certain amount of confusion out there, that independent schools are not totally clear still on when they can reopen?
Well, Sally, one of the things that we did ask the Department of Education in Gauteng is about the grey area when it comes to independent schools as well as private schools, as to are they expected to do the same thing as the government schools, particularly because they would always come out and say that they are ready to commence with teaching and learning. But they did say that at this stage, as things stand, all schools in Gauteng particularly will need to close their doors for physical teaching and learning. They did say that the only time they will allow this is when there was an announcement of commencement by, in fact, the Department of Education. But another thing that they said was that to those, they will not be standing in front of progress as far as those schools that are saying that they are ready to commence with online learning. They did say the only, thing that they are not looking for at this stage is physical learning. But also, they did say that those facilities, those schools that believe that they are ready to commence with online online learning, they would then need to make sure that each and every pupil in that school is able to commence and move forward with other pupils, taking into account their situation at home, where they come from, and all of those. And that is why we saw this particular school that the MEC attended also answered along those lines, saying that the pupils that they feel that are not well equipped as far as their homes, they have taken them into their own facilities. They are providing them with the necessary equipment so that they can keep up with the curriculum as it begins, particularly with those that actually have some of the requirements, some of the required gadgets to actually keep up and partake in the curriculum this year.